So today's gonna be one of those videos. A video where I do a little bit of ranting. Well, probably not too much ranting. Anyway, it's happening. Yes, you can see my bar at the very bottom. Look at number 5 on my bar. Look at number 3 on my bar. No, I'm not playing hybrid bouncer. I'm actually playing the meta dual blade bouncer setup. Because the way that you play dual blade bouncer the best is actually multi-weaponing your weapon with the Relic jet boot. Yeah, that's not a joke. I'm being dead serious. I'm gonna tell you guys why in just a moment. Because man, to say that I'm not a huge fan of it, but at the same time I'm kind of like mixed between the two is a bit of an understatement. But if you happen to catch this video and you are new to the channel, hi, I do PSO2 content. Consider subscribing as we start moving forward towards making content again a bit more regularly. Anyway, let's go ahead and jump in today's video. So, why am I saying this is the meta way to play bouncer? Obviously, if you're playing hybrid bouncer, you're playing both weapons, you're pretty much getting the most you can out of the class altogether. Jet boots are very, very strong. Soaring blades have their issues. We've talked about it to infinitum on this channel. I mean, we talk about it so much, it's insane. So I'm not going to bore you guys too much with it, but Soaring Blades has some pretty glaring issues where jet boots are pretty insanely well put together, in my opinion, and fairly powerful overall. And just generally fun to play. Maybe at like a crazy high level, they're not the most fun, but they've been like, for most of my time playing jet boots, they've been really fun. They almost make me hate the fact that I'm so married to the idea of dual wielding all the time that I really just want to play Soaring Blades all the time. So why do I say this is the meta way to play? So let's you know what, let's pop over to the wiki. Give me a second. Let's switch over to our other screen. Just one sec. So we're over on the wiki. I do want to go ahead and show this because I always do show this sort of stuff whenever I am on the wiki. I will go ahead and link the wiki as well. But if you want to find out anything about your weapons, like what they do, what potentials do what, so on and so forth, you can always find that information right here. Just click on the weapon you're looking for. In this case, we're looking at Soaring Blades. I guess it's going to kind of be like a two-part video or a two-fold video. It's going to be a little bit of me ranting about the current state of our endgame, and then of course just kind of ranking our endgame weapons and, you know, what to go after, what's useful, what's not as useful, so on and so forth. Because I usually do these sort of videos, and I'm going to, when we get a new weapon overall, like when we get a new meta, so to speak, I'll talk about them. So I don't want to make this entire video me ranting about all the weapon or ranting about this weapon combination, but it is going to be part of the video itself. So let's talk about the endgame weapon choices that we have currently. So on a casual level, so this is before Relic, we've got a few choices. We've got Gothica, we've got Grega, we also have what's the other one? I think it's called, sure, right? Oh, I clicked over. We have Filva, and then I know we also have, what is it, Quintel? Yeah. So as far as these weapons go, the Quintel sword is kind of like the barrier weapon. It's more of the defensive option. It's really nice. It's got some decent potency, but again, it's just gonna give you some resistance. Usually not the first decision most people tend to lean towards. Filva weapons are pretty nice. Their base power is kind of low. So even though focus unit's fairly strong, I'm not sure why is this not working? Let me refresh this page really quick. There we go. Focus unit's pretty strong, where non-crits will increase your critical hit rate. The problem is we don't know by how much up to that point of 22. It could be a ton of hits, it could be a few hits. Maybe at this point someone has got to figure out exactly how many hits it is, but at this point in time, I don't know off the top of my head. So can't really tell you. So it's pretty solid. It's got some decent synergy with crit damage. Having that higher crit chance, or just going for more crit chance to be a bit more consistent on the extra crit. But again, that's one of the situations where you're going into fixes, and then at that point you have to figure out if the fix is worth it. It's a lot of math. We're not here for math. But Phil is pretty solid, and it works against no matter what you're fighting. I guess we have to go back here. Let's just pop back over to Soaring Blades really quick. We also have Gothica. Gothica is okay. I mean, it's 23% potency, which is solid. Its base damage is a little lower, but again, it's something you can equip at level 21, so it's a pretty solid leveling weapon. Works across anything you're fighting. There's no specific conditions, and just gives you some PP when you hit an enemy that's under 50. Well, you're under 50% of your PP, and happens every 15 seconds. So not amazing, but honestly not terrible either. Just a little bit of an extra bump. That's kind of nice. And then the weapon that most people are using if they're not pushing towards, the relic weapons, things like that, or the Grega weapons. Now, Grega is 20% potency, but it has the highest base damage of the weapons we have access to at the moment. It also is boasting some of the highest potential potency against boss enemies specifically. Now, I usually don't tend to, so we're looking for optimize around fighting a bunch of mobs, even though this is an open world game where you do fight a lot of enemies and a lot of mobs. Bossing is really where the damage matters. So like most other people, this is what I would go towards if I wasn't using a relic weapon and kind of build around this specifically. So they're pretty solid, not bad weapons. But this is really kind of what I would lean towards personally. And then of course, right now we have the Tempesta or the Tempesta weapons that are available to us. This is because of the event that's going on at the moment with tons of enemies that are weak to win. This is actually your prime choice right now. If you're leveling, if you're doing pretty much anything, honestly, over level 25, and you're not going for a relic weapon, I would highly recommend picking up one of these because there's going to be tons of enemies that are weak to it. And the ability to get that extra status on an enemy and keep them down is really, really comfortable. Plus, they're across every weapon type, so making multi-weapons is really, really comfortable and really, really nice too. So, solid weapon choice, great time to level classes right now. All right, so we got that all out of the way. We talked about all the weapons that we've got. Let's talk about relic weapons, because relic weapons are a little bit of a different beast. So relic weapons actually have different potentials across the different weapon types. When I say different weapon types, let me go ahead and grab an example. Let's look at sword. I believe, let's see, katana on our boy Karo. Let's go with assault rifle. And actually, we don't have to grab sword because soaring blades is the same as swords. I can drop sword. And we have jet boots. Okay, cool. Before our different potentials for, wait, I'm on assault rifle right now. Yeah, okay. The soaring blades, katana, assault rifle, jet boots. First potential we have is vigorous unit. So this potential gives us 27% potency, which is fantastic. We have tons of base damage with relic weapons. Again, amazing. However, the only other bonus we get from this is 10% damage resistance along with rest assign recovery, plus 20%. In the world of PSO2 NGS, we don't really care that much about damage resistance. I mean, it's nice for fighting higher tier monsters or higher tier enemies. In some situations, it's enough to keep you alive if you have very, very specific setups with your augments. But in most situations, you're not looking for your defense from your weapon. Much like the Quintel weapon, you really don't care about that extra level of defense. So kind of is a little bit, I mean, again, it's nice to have as a bonus, but you're really not chasing after it. Katana, now this is, so just so you're aware, soaring blades, partisan, wire lance, and sword all share the same potential. When I say same potential, I mean, even though these are the same series, some weapons have different potentials. There are 4 different potentials across all of them. So sword, wired lance, partisan, and soaring blades all share the same potential. Twin daggers, double saber, knuckles, and katana all share the same potential as well. They have explosive unit. Explosive unit's only 21% potency, which is a little bit of a cut down. That kind of sucks, but it causes area damage when you hit an enemy every 10 seconds on a 10-second cooldown, basically. So if you hit an enemy, got a 10-second cooldown before it can explode again. So some pretty decent cleave damage. This isn't really too exciting. It's nice from an AoE perspective, but that's really about it. And to be honest, if you're going this far in on a weapon, you're really not looking for it for AoE. Now, I don't know how it functions on like multi-targets or there are bosses that have multiple targeting locations. I'm not sure if that's a thing, like, having an attack that goes through an enemy, then it ticks all the way through. Just I haven't researched that personally, but that's something that I'm going to be diving into a bit more. But either way, pretty solid, but nothing to write home about. Assault rifles. So this is assault rifle, launcher, twin machine gun, and bow. They've got harmonious unit. The easiest way to say this is that you have 18% potency, and then you also have basically 25% critical hit rate. I don't know if this is additive or multiplicative. That unfortunately I have not looked into, but essentially you have 23 to 25% crit rate when you have above 80% HP, which healing doesn't use any animation whatsoever. So you're pretty much gonna, so you got 25% crit rate basically for free. So you can do a bit of, shenanigans with crit damage. Crit's actually pretty powerful in NGS, so I'm like kind of dreading that day that we all start moving towards crit, because crit is not the same way it was in base PSO2. In base PSO2, you just hit the highest of your variance. So you see how there's a variance here? You would just always hit 100% of your damage if you crit. Anything that increased your crit damage would make it, pushed a little bit higher. Crit in NGS specifically is 20% higher than your max hit. So basically what you would do is you would do, instead of your 75 to 100%, you would do 120% damage, which is pretty crazy. And when you start stacking this stuff up, it's going to get pretty wild. So moving on, we've got, this always kind of like gets me. I had to take a moment to just breathe. But we have our tech weapons, the Rod, Talus 1, and Jet Boots. Now, these are some powerful freaking potentials. Not only do they boast the 27% potency that you've got over on the other weapons, on the soaring blades, the sword, all those weapons, but you also have minus 10% PP consumption and plus 20% PP recovery when attacking. That is massive for some classes. I mean, it's great they have the minus PP consumption for things like force, but dude, that PP consumption and PP recovery is amazing. Plus, it still has a 27% potency. So this is just flat out better than the other potential. Like the soaring blade potential comparatively is just trash compared to the tech potential. This one is absolutely better. Like, you can make an argument for the ranged one. You can make an argument for the katana, knuckle, double saber, and twin dagger one. But like, there is no contest when you're looking at the tech potential versus this melee one. It's just hands down. Now, why am I annoyed? Why am I kind of upset about this? Technically, if I want to make the strongest set of soaring blades I can make, the best way for me to do that is to get a base jet boot with this potential, multi-weapon it with the soaring blade since they're of the same series. But if I use this as the base, it uses this potential. Basically getting this potential over on these soaring blades. So I get rid of this, awful potential. I get use access to all of my attacks, all of my PAs, all that stuff, but with the better potential. And that's the best way to play the class. Now, for any of you guys who didn't play base PSO2, you're probably thinking to yourself, like, why does this matter? You should want to use all of your class. Well, part of what they did in base PSO2 is move design towards not forcing you to use weapons that you did not want to use. They basically started balancing the game around being able to play whichever weapon that you wanted and still being able to excel and succeed. Now, technically speaking, I don't have to do this. I'll still deal pretty good damage, but it is just substantially different. As someone who likes to optimize a bit, and actually to optimize a lot, to be fair, the difference in the potential here is just gross, and it's kind of bittersweet because I love the idea behind these potentials. I like that each of these sets of weapons have different potentials, but like, you got it right with like the katana. I mean, granted, it's not amazing, but it's decent. You got it right with the katana. I think the best one, like, is comparatively wise, is like between the ranged and the tech. Like, these two potentials are both good for different reasons, which is cool. If they would have given more of attention to the other two potentials that they had, I think this would have been a lot cooler. But if I was a bouncer main and I wanted to play jet boots, I don't need a soaring blade. I just flat out don't need one. However, as a soaring blade main, if I want to play soaring blade to its fullest potential, I basically need to have a jet boot. Realistically speaking, if you want to play, say, something like Hunter, and you want to use Partisan at its potential, technically, you really want something to multi-weapon Partisan. Maybe you want a rifle of some sort. Maybe you want to grab a, let's say, a Relic Talus, and have that as the main weapon. That way you get the attack consumption, or the PP consumption, and the attack recovery. That might be something you go towards because the potency is the same. You're getting more damage. Like, it's just, I'm not sure how else to explain it. It's just a better potential overall. And it's crazy to think that. And it's moving more towards that. So again, I like this idea, but it's bittersweet because the balance is a bit off. And if you guys were curious, it definitely does. Like, I waited to make this video till I actually had the weapon to test it out myself. And yes, this is exactly how it works. It uses the base potential of the weapon itself, but I can use all of my PAs and everything else. And since this is the first weapon of its type that has different potentials across the same series, I was kind of thinking this was going to happen, but I didn't know for certain, and that's exactly what has happened. So this might be kind of like a one-off situation. Maybe future weapons won't have this, but I feel like if they've done this once, they're probably going to do it again, so might as well talk about it than ignore it. Anyway, guys, again, this is a bit more of a ranty video. I'd apologize, but I'm not sorry. You guys like to hear my takes, and I figured I'd give them to you. If you guys have any questions, feel free to toss them in the comments below. Like if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you want to keep up with more, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Take care. Peace out.